how it plays a factor and how we didn't even talk about this topic because we were afraid.
A Black Executive Perspective.
We are live, the new BEP studio for another thought-provoking episode of the Black Executive Perspective podcast, Safe Space, where we discuss all matters related to race, culture, and obviously those uncomfortable conversations, especially today, that people tend to shy away from. Guess what? I'm your man, Tony Tidbit.
And I'm your co-host, Chris P. Reed, and we're here to tackle the real and the raw, the often uncomfortable truths shaping our world. So far, no fluff, no filters. We don't hold back. We have conversations on issues that matter, from power to politics, culture, and corporate America. We break it all down without holding anything back, any filters, and we want your engagement, your interaction. Tell us what you think, what you know. So let's get into it.
Buddy, let's definitely dive into it. And as always, we want this to be very engaging. So our audience, you have comments, you want to say something, please chime in on the chat. Reach out. We'll definitely play or pay attention to what you're saying so you can be part of this conversation, right? But it's been, look, buddy, I'll be honest with you, it's just been insane in terms of where we are, where we're going as a country, just the venom, the vitriol, it's heightening, all right, to a place, to be fair. I haven't seen, and I wasn't around when in Wilmington, North Carolina in 1898. I read about it. Right. We've done a show on it, but I'm getting a sense, man, we're getting into some very dangerous areas right now in the country. And I also feel that, to be honest, people are sleeping at the switch. All right. They're not paying attention. They're not. And slowly but surely, we're rolling to some areas, man, that we've seen in history before. So it's not we making this up. We have facts from history where we've seen these movies. We've seen these stories. We've seen these characters in the history books before. Right. And we're starting to see them again. And we're starting to see the whole playbook again. And then we also see in the apathy of the masses as well, where they're like, it ain't no big deal. You guys making more of it what it is. And let me just focus on making a living and this and that and holding our yards. And buddy, I forgot I should have brought my cut. I had a song that I wanted to play. You ever listen to, what's my boys, Rage Against the Machine?
No,
you ain't never listened to Rage Against the Machine?
No,
bro, stop. You have heard the song. Matter of fact, you watched The Matrix? The movie The Matrix.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
The music at the end? Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I know the melody.
That's
yes,
Rage.
Sir.
That's
yes,
Rage
sir.
Against the Machine. And you know what the name of the song is? The name of the song is called Wake Up. All right?
Okay.
I'm going to send it to you. When you listen to it, bro, you'll be like, Tony, you're right. All right. So, but check it out. I'll get to it. But let's dive into what's on your thoughts, my brother.
So I found myself a couple weeks ago. Last week we talked about this.
Can you bring your camera close, your camera lid close? Yeah, bro. There we go.
Like this. Give me
There we go.
Right
there we go.
Okay,
now we on the same level, right? My man. Because you're my peer. You know what I'm saying? You can't be looking be shorter than me on the screen. You know what I'm saying? Okay, bro. Let's chat.
So a couple weeks I found myself praying for you specifically because a talking head was killed over speaking. Right. And then it's evolved to another level of censorship where now you own the space for uncomfortable conversations. Right. And that is not a popular place. Now you're a brave maverick, sir, by cornering the market on uncomfortable conversations, because certain people don't have a desire to be uncomfortable. In fact, they're doing whatever they can to not be uncomfortable. And one of the things, as you stated, this goes back to the 1800s. It actually goes back to ancient Rome, where they were censoring people to regulate public morality. And, going around, and if you had something to say against Caesar or any of the emperors, they would make sure that you said that quietly or not said it at all, right? Cutting out tongues and everything, fam. So censorship is not a new thing. And the degree in which they do it, we always thought about it as other countries over there, where they would silence their critic, or Putin would allegedly poison somebody or whatever the case may be.
Or
but the concept now,
down their plane.
man, whatever it takes, right? You know, you're not gonna be able to say nothing against me. And now that was the one thing after the Revolutionary War, as we look at history, where the revolutionists was give me liberty, give me death. I'm speaking out against this tyrannic empire, and that's how we separated. That's how we became a country.
Correct.
Was that we spoke out against the injustices of the monarchy, of the powers that be, and decided to we not gonna take it. Now that's another song. There we go. We're not gonna take it.
Yeah, we're not gonna take it.
So,
You know, we ain't gonna break it. Right, exactly.
But in that concept, it went from a situation where some of these things was in back doors and clandestine things where somebody get knocked off or whatever, and now it's just so blatant out in the open to where there is a fear that exists with people like yourself, like myself, speaking candidly, having uncomfortable conversations, that there's going to be repercussions. People have been fired at their real job for putting stuff on the internet. Now, I'll say this before I hand it over to you. If I put something on the internet, everybody that can hear my voice, I want it to be seen. So I can't then be appalled and mad that people are seeing it and saying something about it. You get what I'm saying? But the idea of one of the early amendments, one of the early thought processes in our Constitution is the freedom of speech. And I believe this level of censorship is infringing upon that freedom of speech. And we're using very powerful entities like the FCC and other, regulators to push political agendas or personal agendas. And that's where the level of danger. It used to be you just couldn't you couldn't holler fire or bomb on a plane. It was like 4-5 words. Now it's a lot. I'm sure you look through a laundry list of things you can't say on this. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but
So
here's
what you
the thing,
think?
though, buddy. So here's the thing, though. So it's hypocrisy. That's number one.
Okay.
Because the people who are saying that they don't want you to say something, just 6 months ago, a year ago, they were screaming. They're supposedly First Amendment proponents, right? That free speech, blah, blah, blah. Now they're like, we don't want you to say nothing, right? But let's back up. Let's back up, because let's go back to the history, right? Because I think that's important. And again, man, I don't want to paint broad brushes, because last week we talked about how, we all put people in groups, and, everybody in Connecticut can't drive, or everybody in Dallas can. So we don't want to do that, right? I will say this, that unfortunately, and maybe it was me. Maybe I thought that the majority of people were more educated. The majority of people always knew about their history. Okay. And so maybe I grew up with that premise. Maybe I was wrong, right? I doubt it, but that's what I think, right? But I don't think today a lot of people really dive into history, because if they did, we would hear a lot more screaming, okay, to be honest. Now, to your point, America was founded because we didn't want to be ruled by a monarchy. Okay, we didn't want somebody who had an attitude say, we doing this, right? You go back to the Boston Tea Party, we want to tax your tea, and there were other issues as well, right? However, at the end of the day, this is our country. We want to do what I want to do. And then the founding fathers who came up with the bylaws, so let's keep it simple, which is the Constitution, came up with the bylaws, created it in terms of First Amendment, the right to, free speech. Why? Because to your point, if they said something against King George, they could be killed or hanged or prisoned. All right. And so at the end of the day, we didn't want that. You had the right to bear arms. Why? Because of this is what people don't know. Okay. The reason they have the right to bear arms, the United States, when it was founded, didn't have an army. It was a bunch. It didn't have a standing army. Who fought the war? It was regular people, farmers, whatever the case may be. Come on, stop. All right. So the right to bear arms was, in case we ever get invaded again, that everyday individuals can pick up their guns and stuff and fight against tyranny or whatever the case may be, right? Because we didn't have an army. That's what that was about, right? And look, I'm going to get deep in it, but all I'm saying is that was, again, because countries that that lived in monarchies, they don't want their citizens to have weapons, because then they can't control them. Absolutely. Okay, so the bottom line is that was the main thing. That was the reason why you have the right to bear arms. So this way, the government or any governing entity can't control you, okay? Because you can't fight back, right? So, and if you look at any communist country, do they have guns? No. All right. So the government can easily control them, right? Because they have no way of fighting back. All right. So all those principles in terms of how this country was formed, and the reason those principles were put in place was because we did not want a monarchy, or we didn't want anybody that was in charge to become a dictator, right? And then because you can't have freedom and dictatorship at the same time. You can't, it doesn't work. You can't have democracy and have somebody that's a dictator or a queen. You know, if you think about it, look at my brother-in-law brought this up the other day. I was dying laughing. We were chatting and he was like, you saw what happened to, what was her name? The queen, they cut her head off when she thought, we talk Queen Marie Antoinette. Right. So at the end of the day, they living in a world like everything they eating, you know, sitting back, having grapes put in their mouth, people starving, right? And they're like, we ain't doing this no more, right? So that doesn't work, right? So, but unfortunately, people, they use these principles, they speak on these principles today based on their benefit. Okay. So like I said, 6 months ago, or when COVID was happening, let's be fair, when COVID was happening, right? And people were saying, you know, it's the Kung flu, or they would say certain things or put a lot of misinformation. And then you had some of these social media platforms trying to block it or blah, blah. They were like, I have free right to free speech. I should be able to say, well, you're trying to block the conservative mind or the conservative voice, screaming, hollering, the whole 9 yards, right? And let's be fair though, too, because we got to be fair. There were people that said certain things back then, right, that got fired. Let's be fair. It happened. Okay. We had people that did certain things that they got fired. Okay. And they shouldn't have got fired. Right. And so, but those same people now today is the one now saying, oh, we can't have that. Or, oh, you can't say nothing. Or, oh, let's look at Charlie Kirk for a second. Let's be fair here. And see, this is, you know, when we talk about trying to control a narrative and then try to edit it, okay, and only let certain things be said that we want to be said, but that we don't want the truth to come out, right? So look, at the end of the day, Charlie Kirk said a lot of nasty, hateful stuff. That's not made up. Those are facts. It's on the record. It's on the record. You loved the dude. Okay, you loved him. Okay, you thought he was the next coming of Jesus Christ. Okay, you can do whatever you want to do. But you can't sit back and say he didn't, or these people are making this up, or they're trying to stomp on his. No, these things are on the record. They're on the record. Okay, but now if you bring them up, they screaming and hollering at you like, oh, don't bring that up. Why? See, here's the thing. You can't have it both. You can't say this person was the Prince of Truth. He was willing to debate and chat with everybody. All right. And then at the same time say, don't bring up none of his debates. Don't share or talk about none of the stuff, the bad stuff he talked about, which was a lot. Okay. And so you're trying to control a narrative. Okay. And so now let's be fair too. Let's throw the cards on the table. Now we have the president talking about he wants to go after his political opponents, right? He wants to, he wants his attorney general to press charges and go after them. All right. And who were the people? It was my man, the senator in California. It was Comey, the former FBI director. And here's the thing. So who does that? What type of, does a president do that, or does a dictator do that?
No, dictator does it. Absolutely.
Okay, let's be fair. I mean, guys, you may love him. I get it.
You change the name. If you change his name to anybody over there, the guy in Turkey, the guy in Russia, the guy Saddam Hussein, anybody else, you know for a fact these actions, these symptoms of a dictator. I'm not qualified to diagnose it, But these are symptoms.
But it's a fact. And here's the thing: the country wasn't set up like that. That's why we have three branches of government. That's why, and they're supposed to be separate branches. And the president is just the executive branch, right? So it was set up to be independent, so not one person could have rule. Okay, that would not think, buddy. Let's and please, our audience, don't go by what we're saying. Please look it up. If you're not aware, you don't know nothing about this, and you're like, well, are they telling the truth? Just look it up. Know your history. This is what it was set up for. And look, did you have presidents who tried to control stuff? Yeah, I mean, I can go back to FDR. I mean, you can go back to history. You can always go back to, and there's always a president trying to slide stuff in, all right, or trying to control. That ain't new, all right. But it didn't happen because you had the three separate branches of government. Okay, FDR, who had the longest term as a president, 16 straight years. All right, let's just be fair here. And so he battled, tried to get stuff in, or tried to control the courts and all that type stuff, and they slapped him down. All right,
checks and balances.
Checks and balances. This is not constitutional. Okay, we can't have that, right? And so, I'm not just saying this is a 47 issue. Okay, I'm saying we've seen other people try to do it, and they got slapped. He's taking it to the level where now we want to weaponize the government against people I don't like, which that was never the case. Okay, never. Now, I want you to jump in on this because you said something a few minutes ago. I started laughing, but I'm gonna throw it back up now. Now, did some stuff happen behind closed doors? Was it a wink and nod saying, "Go get this dude"?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, was it, hey, IRS, check this dude out a little further, right? Did that happen probably behind closed doors? Can I sit here and say that never happened? Of course, I can't. Let's be fair. I can't. But to come right out on TV
absolutely
and say, I'm telling her to go after, all right, I'm sorry. And we got to, look, here's the thing, man. And this is what disappoints me, to be fair. And I check this out. I've seen other people speak out on this and stuff to that nature too, right? But not the masses. Everybody should be screaming, saying, are you kidding me? All right? Everybody, you see a few. There's other talking heads that's saying this stuff, but it should be the masses. Okay? It should be the masses, and we don't see that.
The thing about it is when you want to go after, as you stated, there's a precedence that's been established of when you want to go after someone, you can find a loophole or a way to do it and not be so overt and not be so anti-American. Think about Al Capone. Al Capone didn't go to prison for being Al Capone the gangster. Al Capone went to prison for being Al Capone the tax evader.
Correct.
Like they got him on taxes, bro. Like they was like, look, we're going to find a way to get you. But they legally found a way to see something else he was doing illegal and slapped him for that. It wasn't just, we don't like you, Al, so we're going to pick you up. We don't have nothing that we can prove. Who cares what the courts say? In fact, courts don't, you talked about the three branches. I have seen a diminishment in the judicial branch faster in the last 3 years than I have in the last 200 years.
Buddy, flat out.
Like the respect or the ominous presence of what the legal system says, or how we regard the rules of the court as law, as they do what's in our best interest, and that's what we're gonna ride by, because where there is no law, there's anarchy. Now you have the anarchists taking over because the law is so subversive. If I don't want to go to jail, I can be convicted of everything and still sit up there and and hypocrisize whatever I want. How can you, a felon, tell me you're gonna come and arrest me? That doesn't even make sense. On some pun intended, trumped up stuff, right? Like it's just but once again, we talk about how overt it is, and what happens is, as you stated, an agent of chaos. But he tests the waters. The one thing I will say about 47 is he does a masterful job of testing the waters to see, can I get this far? And if there's no ripple effect, let's do that. Let's do that. And so we're getting conditioned like a boiling frog, right? We're getting conditioned to where it's become along where we look up and say, wow, because it's been happening time. Like you said, it's a barrage of things to where you just so thrown off that by the time you look up, stuff has gotten through, and we constantly playing defense, Tony, and that's uncomfortable as Americans.
Well, but here's the thing, though, bro. To be fair, though, again, and this is just my opinion, but that's what the other branches of government are supposed to do. Okay, right. To be honest, that's why we voted them in.
Right.
Okay, but when you have Congress that's sitting back on their hands and not saying nothing,
right?
Okay. See, this is so. Think about it for a second. You elect somebody from your district to represent you, okay? And when they go to Congress, as a congressperson, as a Senate woman, Senate man, whatever the case may be, you're electing them to be your voice. You're electing them to be your eyes and ears. You electing them to speak on your behalf. You elected them to be able to push back and not allow these things that we're talking about. They ain't saying nothing. All right, see, buddy, here's the thing. When you can tilt the power, when you can get people in your back pocket. I'm sorry. Let me say it another way. Let me say it another way.
All right, cool. Yeah. Okay? We want to stay on here, Tony. Let me stay on here.
Yeah, let's say it another way. Let's say another. And this is a microcosm of where we are today. Okay. When you can make those people that you elected to represent you, when somebody can make them afraid to push back, afraid to say something, afraid to stand up, because if they do, there's going to be repercussions, right? That's the first line of defense. So if they're afraid to say something, it's just a matter of time that it ripples over, right? And now it's rippling over into the public square, where now it reminds. So my man, Tony Goncalves.
I'm not familiar with him.
He used to be the president of Warner Media back in the day. Tony G, that's what we call him, right?
Okay.
Real cool dude. That was my man. He does private equity. He's an advisor. He does a bunch. He's traveling all over the world, right? And I saw his post. He wrote a post, I think it was a couple of days ago, last week, something like that. And this is how he phrased it, and I'm paraphrasing it. He said, I'm a little uneasy to even say this or share this. And just because he said, just me saying that, it tells you where we are today in the world. Okay? Where people now are afraid to speak out on the truth and share and try to educate others because they may be attacked. So now you get it. So that's the ripple effect. So first line of defense, we get Congress, we got them scared. We can do anything we want to do. Ain't nobody screaming, ain't nobody pushing back. Everything we do, they may be talking behind closed doors, saying, I can't believe we're doing this. They're ripping us apart, blah, blah, blah. But they're not going to say that outwardly. So now we got them under control. Now we start sliding into the public, okay? And so now we're going to make sure our people are so riled up and this and that. So now they're our disciples. So if something is said that they disagree with, they're going to go off. So now you got people afraid to be back and to say nothing, right? It's just a matter of time before that ripple wave. It reminds me, you ever see the movie Scarface? Okay. Remember towards the end when Sosa called Tony and he was like, Tony, what happened when he told him to do the hit? And they got into an argument, and then Tony was like, you want to go to war? You want to go to war? We go to war. We go to war. He didn't know they was already jumping over his wall.
Right.
He was already at war. He didn't even know. That's my point. Now, right? And that's where people are today. They're sleeping at the switch, not recognizing that this thing is turning.
Right.
Okay? This democracy that we supposedly have is starting to crack.
Right.
Where now people can say stuff, 47 can say stuff blatantly in front of the whole world that would never be said. Right? So, and nobody stopped. Nobody. Your elected officials who's supposed to have your back, where are they at? What did they say? Why did they not say we need to impeach this person? Because where is that? We have it on record. We got video. We got it all.
Right.
Okay? But you don't hear that. None of that. Silence. Silence. That's where and buddy, I'm telling you, guys, people, you guys, if you're watching this, you guys got to wake up because this is slowly slipping away.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. Is it as simple as the layman would say it's the money? That money has become, the lobbyists have become too powerful, the money and this, and that, and people can be bought off and influenced from a financial perspective, not necessarily threatening their careers, but hey, I'm gonna put you in on this deal. I'm gonna hook you up with this situation in exchange for your side. We just looked at a situation where they had to pass a law to where Supreme Court justices couldn't take gifts over a certain amount.
So of course, I mean that's part of the game, right? I'm gonna take care of you. Just shut up.
Right. Right.
All right. I mean that's part of the game, right? And so because my influence is so strong that if you play ball, you good. If you don't, we're gonna vote. We're gonna get you out. Okay. Right. Here, let me just share. We have Monique. I appreciate your comment. Monique says, ignorance is bliss. The masses rely on media to educate and program them. We cannot rely on an education system. We have to be self-taught. And what else? You self-taught and seek out those answers, right? For our family and children, right? And that's the bottom line, right? Here's the thing though, and thank you for sharing, Monique, right? Here's the thing though, is at the end of the day, people don't want to, we're at a point now where nobody wants to work at learning. They want, it's a microwave treatment, as Monique says. They want it packaged. It's got to be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, right? And then whoever has the loudest bullhorn wins that they believe. That's just a fact. Buddy, I've chatted with so many people who believe this or think, and don't get me wrong, when I chat with them, we're not fighting. I had a client lunch today, me and my man, and we didn't go at it, we had a conversation. And when he was asking me questions about certain things, and then when I would throw some facts at him, he was looking at me like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And he's a good dude. He was just like, he was lost. And then I told him to look it up. And I'm like, bro, don't go by with me. Check this stuff out, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh my God, is he a bad guy? No. Is he, no. But people are not educating themselves, as Monique said. Okay. And the education system. Well, let me hear your thoughts. Go ahead, bro.
I think that it's short-sighted to feel like whoever has the largest bullhorn, because the people who run the electricity to the amplifier are cutting off people with big bullhorns. Jimmy Kimmel had a big bullhorn. He made a comment that somebody personally took offense to, and then they got involved and started making financial threats to Disney. Financial threats. So once again, we following the money, right? Once Disney got that financial threat, then Sinclair and Nexstar fell in line and said, you got to get up out of here because you said something we think or we felt, not that we can, they would have went. And there's so many things that have come out, Tony, that would be lost in court. If we took it to the legislative or to the judicial dynamic of things, Trump wouldn't have won these frivolous. He's a frivolous leader, right? And we can't be led in a frivolous manner. But he brings it up a lot. I just won 16 million because y'all said y'all didn't like my hair. I just won 18 million. Like he throws that in the face. Like that's like a business model for him now, right? Like a business model is I'll sue you and you'll acquiesce because in the background, you know that I have buddies that'll make it harder on you to just do day-to-day business as usual. That type of dynamic is so dangerous when the FCC commissioner is saying, hey, I didn't find that joke to be funny,
buddy.
Therefore, I'm shutting the Carter down. Like, you know what I'm saying?
shutting the Carter
I'm
down.
shutting the whole thing down.
We're going to bum rush the whole damn thing.
Man, come on, Tony.
Buddy,
Come on, Tony.
And to be honest, what did he say wrong, though, to be honest? Okay? What did he said, hey, they're trying to make this kid out to be, and I'm paraphrasing. Indoctrinated or radicalized, right?
Yeah, radicalized,
and radicalized, right?
Yep.
And what have you read? Have you read some of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
From them.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, but here's the thing, though. Regardless, here's the thing, though. This is late night, okay? And who was the king of late night, if you remember?
David Letterman?
No.
Johnny Carson? You talking about Johnny Carson?
Johnny Carson.
Okay.
Buddy, just look back. I don't have to look back because I was a kid and I didn't stay up late all the time, right? But when I was up late and I saw, he used to talk about the president all the time. Matter of fact, I remember when, what was the dude's name? It was Bush's vice president.
Dan Quayle.
Dan Quayle. Thank you.
They said Dan Quayle was illiterate. I was a kid. I was like, he can't read, Mom.
Buddy, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. There was a show on TV called Murphy Brown.
Okay. Yep. Candace Bergen. Yep.
Candace Bergen, right? And Dan Quayle said something. I forget what it wasn't a series. It was they had a show, an episode. And he spoke out against it, says, I believe in family values and we can't have this type of stuff. Well, he said, and again, I don't remember verbatim what he said. Right. And then, matter of fact, Candace Bergen spoke, she did a little separate little thing. This before, and here's the thing, this before social media. All right. She didn't tweet nothing. It was none of that. Right. So she had to go to the network and say, give me, record me. Right. And then we'll send it out. Right. And then Johnny Carson came on and said, our idiot vice president did it again. All right. And he said, blah, 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 blah. It was not, I mean, buddy, it just drives me crazy that now you can't, right? And then I don't remember Bush using his bully stick to go after Johnny Carson, right? And they would have never did that. That's just part of the game, okay? Right. And more importantly, are you that thin-skinned? Okay, for you to be stuff like that to agitate you. But here's the kicker. Let's go back to who actually did it. It was what, Nexstar and what was the other Sinclair.
Sinclair. Yep.
Right. Why did they do it?
Because they got contract because of the business. Because they want the wheels greased. And they want the FCC to play friendly, play pool.
Wait a minute. But be more specific, buddy. So when you say because of the business, what business?
That they want to do mergers. And
they have a merger on the table.
Yes.
They have a merger on the table.
Stuff that got to go through the FCC.
$6.2 billion merger on the table. Right? So they're like, we can't have this dude. And so we can't have this dude mess up our money. Okay.
But they're not coming out of nowhere with that, Tony. He said that explicitly. Disney, this person, if you don't want no problems, you need to get this.
I know that. I know. But that was part of the motivation.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
And somebody, so think about it for a second. Let's just back up. Let's back up, right? Nothing happens in a vacuum. Okay. Right. So remember that old saying, shit rolls downhill.
Right.
So who's the first person probably said something?
Against it?
Yeah.
47.
He might have, but who his FCC chairman?
Oh yeah. I forgot the guy's name.
He was the first person. So who did he say something to?
Yeah.
Who did he say something to?
He got on the podcast and said something.
And he was saying something, and then so where did that go to? That went to Sinclair.
That's right.
And what's his name, right? And so they were like, oh, we gotta. So he was bullying them.
He was bullying them, absolutely.
Okay, to do this, or Disney is the one that pulled it, right? But he was doing that to them to bully them, to put pressure on Disney. Because at the end of the day, they would lose their deal.
Yep.
Okay? Yep. So when has the government look, man, I mean, I shouldn't even ask that question because, look, I'm not, we're not, I'm not, Socrates or you know, what's my Nostradamus, right? I don't, maybe back in 1850, did somebody, squash some dude? Maybe, right? But at the end of the day, this was a government thing that pushed, and they started, then the entities caved, to your point, and they put pressure on the person. Sinclair and Nexstar can't fire Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, only Disney could, or suspend him, I should say, right? So they put but it came from a government entity.
Right. But they fired Colbert. But let me say this, Tony, because this I do know, this I am qualified for. Deals at that level aren't favors. They're business deals. And when you have somebody say, I can stop the deal, it's basically, if the deal went through, it's a favor from me. And if it don't go through, it's because I say no. Forget the business, forget the numbers, forget the legalities. If I just don't want it to happen, this making it seem like the FCC can just not want it to happen, and it just don't happen, no matter what the data says. That is a dangerous place to be in.
No, it is
to
dangerous,
feel like
but
a business deal is a favor.
Wait a minute, but hold on though. Okay, so think about it for a second, bro.
Yeah.
You just got finished saying the dudes suing have frivolous lawsuits.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Why are they paying?
Yeah.
Why are they paying?
Why?
Why no? But why are they paying? Why did ABC give them 10 million, 15 million? Why did CBS? CBS did the same thing, right? They were trying to merge with Skydance, I think it was.
Skydance. Yep. Paramount Skydance.
But at the end of the day, they're trying to do business, billions of dollars. And Colbert, what do he make? 15, 20 million? That's a trip around the world. We'll get rid of him to get this 6, 7 billion, right? We'll fire the 60 Minutes producer, all right? Because they got rid of him too, right? That's collateral. You see my point here? So, because at the end of the day, if you want the deal done, you get rid of them. Okay.
Legally, it's extortion, though, Tony. Legally, it's extortion.
Quid pro quo, or whatever it's called, right? It is. What I'm saying
is extortion.
It is extortion.
When you're putting someone,
buddy, I'm not blessing it. I'm telling you why these companies are doing what they're doing, right? Because of that pressure. Okay, they're not doing it because it's been happening for years, so it's not a big deal. But now they're caving. Why? What was it? ABC paid to do 15 million for what? All right, because my man said that he raped somebody, but he was convicted of rape, but it was actually convicted of sexual assault. Okay, right. And so they caved. Right. They blah. Why? Because at the end of the day, they're gonna need to do business, and if they want to do a merger with somebody, and if the see you what you're saying makes sense. Where, buddy, is business, it's nickels and dimes, But no, at the end of the day, you still need somebody. Somebody can easily say, I don't think these companies should merge. If that's all they say. If they got the power to say that, I don't think that, what? And then what was that flick? What was the movie?
It was Malcolm X when they said one man should not have that much power.
No, what, buddy, flat out. It was that. It was another flick where the dude was like, I can't remember. It'll come to me in a second. But net, these things shouldn't happen. That's real here. But they're happening out. Look, man, let's back up. Right. Did they happen before behind closed doors? Yeah, probably. We have to be fair. Okay. Right. What was the flick? You ever see the movie about the biography of Lyndon Johnson?
No.
Oh, bro, it's real good. Bro, you gotta check it out. It's really, really good, right? And I didn't know about Lyndon Johnson, at least his background and Lady Bird Johnson and stuff to that nature, right? But this dude would twist arms too. You see what I'm saying? So, but he knew how to do it. Like when he wanted somebody to vote, when he became president. So I believe, was he head of the Senate? He was a senator of Texas. I'm trying to think, was he? I don't know if he was or not, but he knew everybody. Okay. And so at the end of the day, he used to tell people I'm just going to make this up, to get Chris Reed to vote on this, he loved to drink bourbon. So make sure you give him, buddy, flat out. They were like, we ain't putting money in your district unless you support this platform. Happens all the time, right? Nobody hears it. You don't hear that. It's politics.
Playing
happens
politics
all the time, buddy.
Right.
All the time. right? So I'm not going to sit here and say it ain't never, but you never heard them come out on TV and said, we ain't giving Chris Reed nothing in his let's he vote for this, blah, blah, blah. Okay,
Absolutely.
that's the point. That's the point.
Right.
Because then you lose
Right.
trust in the democracy. So there's always backroom deals. You can always have that, right? Always. So, but now it's blatant. Now it's just flat out. I say what I want, and you better give it to me. You see what I'm saying? And here's the thing. Who gonna do something? I own all three branches.
Absolutely.
I got the attorney general. She's my girl. You see what I'm saying? Who gonna do something against me? Who? Who gonna stop me? That's the point. That's the danger. That's the point. That's the danger. I stacked the Supreme Court, at least I think, so they'll vote the way I want them to vote. Right? So that's the danger, because now you stack the deck and now you don't have, like you said, there's no checks and balances. So now you can, there was that old saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Corrupts absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? So it's just a matter of time. It's because the more somebody feels emboldened, the more powerful they feel that nobody can stop them, buddy, watch out. And that's my point here. That's the key. That's where we're heading.
Yeah. So when let's just say there's a hypothetical conclave of voices that get on airwaves like yourself, and y'all meet up and y'all talk about things, and y'all know that y'all not on the positive or embrace side of the administration. How do you navigate these waters? How does anything keep you up at night, or does anything make you say, you know what, I need to back up, I need to cool out? Is your wife saying, hey, I don't want a brick thrown through the front window?
Buddy, so here's the thing. You give him his way too much credit here, right? I mean, I wish I was on a Jimmy Kimmel level, right? And then I would hire bodyguards and shit, right? And so we're not on that level yet. We will be one day. And there's a ton of other people, man. Not that I see everything, but there's a ton of other people that are pushing back strong. Okay, strong. All right, strong. A ton. Black, white, I was watching strong, right? The key is that there should be more. That's the issue. There should be more. It shouldn't be a handful of people. It should be the collective of people who are paying attention to where the country is going. You may not like certain things, I get it, but you can't, no matter what, the foundation. If our foundation of democracy is broken, you watch and see what happens, bro. You can forget about it. It'll be anarchy. All right. And I mean, really bad. And so that's where I'm saying we should have more people speaking out on this. And you can't count on Congress. Forget about them. They're done. Right? Like my boy said in Scarface, he said, when the cop came and said, Tony, I don't want to bust your balls. And then Tony told his boy, he said, how did he know anything about Omar? He said, Omar's fertilizer. He's fertilizer, right? So he ain't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, bro, it's really that's the thing that bothers me, is that we should have a lot more people speaking up. They were doing that. What was that? 50 on one protest. Remember that was a few months ago, back in February. What was it called? 50 states, 50 something, whatever the case would be. Where's that? You don't hear none of that, right? None. Where's that at? You don't hear nothing. That's my point. People should be screaming from state house to state house. People should be out in the streets like this weekend. There should be a mass protest all across the country, right? Saying, are you kidding me? This is where and this is not made up. These things are on the record in front of everybody. Okay. So my point is, that's my disappointment, right? That's my disappointment.
Let me ask you this, because of being able to disseminate the truth and read and understand what's going on and give it to your audience, do you feel more comfortable with the election cycle that's coming up? Or are you more afraid than ever because the last time it didn't go the way we thought it was going to go? Or
here's the thing,
it didn't
Go
turn
ahead.
out the way we hoped it would turn out, I should
Yeah,
say.
I mean, but that's an excellent question, excellent point, and that's what we need to promote. People need to vote.
Okay.
That's the power. We have the power to change the direction. Okay, and people have to, but you can't vote if you don't pay attention. What are you voting for? Or why should you? And that's what happened in the last election. What was it? 10 million, 20 million people didn't vote. Okay,
Right.
and so at the end of the day, this next voting cycle, the midterms, is one of the, and buddy, I hate to say it, but we've been saying it's one of the most important voting cycles. We've been saying that shit the last 8, 10
Absolutely.
years, something like that. Everyone is the most, right?
Right.
'Cause
Running.
that's where
Yep,
it's going, right? But to be
Right,
fair,
right.
to be, to be fair, this one coming up, brah, if people don't get out to vote, everyone get out to vote, we got some serious problems. We already have serious problems, but then it's going to be, again, Scarface, they're coming over the wall. You're already at war, right?
Yeah.
So it really, but it's about voting. Oh, we have another comment here. Who do we have? Is this Monique again? Let's see what Monique says. She says, power and money dictate today's society. Money and power are deeply interconnected and expert significant influences on politics, social structures, and cultural values. Yeah, my girl. Oh,
Sal.
no, excuse me. That was
Sal.
Sal.
No,
Sorry
that was
about
Sal.
that. All
Yeah,
right.
Sal.
So see,
Yeah.
this is the thing I love about our show, bro. We have educated people.
Mhm.
Okay, educated people that watch and they're active and they're paying attention. And so you don't have to write your congressman. You should, but you got to be aware. You have to be aware of what's going on. And today, most people are not aware. And so when you tell them something, they start look. It reminds me when I was in the Army. I was in basic training, and these two dudes got into it, and they were about to have a fight. They didn't fight, but the big dude was a big dude, and it was a short dude. Both of them were big dudes, but one was taller, one was short, right? And the big dude said something to him, and the little dude looked at him, and then the big dude said, "You can stand there looking like a German Shepherd in the back seat of a station wagon if you want to." Number one, how did he come up with that? But then you start visualizing the German Shepherd in the back seat of the station wagon, right? Just looking, right? He's like, he's lost, right? And so, but it was the funniest thing. But that's the point. People today, we're saying stuff like that. That's how they looking at you. Like, what are you talking about? They're lost. How can you be lost and you a citizen? Not only that, you speaking on stuff that you think you know, and you have no clue. And then when somebody comes back and says, "No, bro, 1 + 2 is not 4." Backseat, a German Shepherd in the backseat.
Right.
For real?
Right.
It ain't.
Right.
You lying.
Right.
They told me on TV it was.
Absolutely.
And that's where we are today, bro. That and are we laughing? It's sad.
It is.
It's sad.
Yeah, it's deplorable.
It's sad. And here's the thing: the younger people are more. It's interesting, man. When I was a kid, well, let me ask you: when you were a kid, and I'm talking 16, 15, 17, were you really let me ask you: were you, number one, diving in history? Were you paying attention to what was happening from a political standpoint? And obviously you couldn't vote, but did you have your own opinions, or was just paying attention to how the world goes around?
Not as much, because of the world was so much larger because of lack of mass communication and cell phones and
I'm talking just the United States, though. I'm talking like
States, yeah.
Watergate.
No.
I'm talking where you paying
what?
attention to other things. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna tell you the first time where I took attention to this country was Oliver North. And I thought, how in the hell is we airing this dirty laundry? We airing our dirty laundry, the Iran-Contra affair, whatever it was.
Yeah. It wasn't a
everybody.
Affair, but I know Iran-Contra. Yeah.
It was like, what in the world is going on? They putting all of this business. I thought it was like state, national security. I thought it was a measure of national security, that. And we put it out for the public because we were being transparent. Now, and I sent you something, and basically they were saying, hey, the president is trying to come after his political foes. Do you find that to be disheartening and blah, blah, blah? And the man's response was, well, he's always been transparent. And that's what his people love about him, and that's what the American public loves about him.
That's okay. As long as he's transparent about, assassin. I'm not saying assassin, but as long as he's transparent about going after political, it's not a big deal. That's okay. He wants to lock them up.
So these are two different types of transparency. The idea of accountability was the Oliver North situation where something was done illicit. They did an investigation. They let people in on the investigation as far as what was going on with the Iran situation, right? I think it was it, dang, I forgot his name. Well, not Khomeini. But anyway, that was my first recollection of, oh my gosh, the United States, is different at different levels. And they'll do these things to keep each other in check and blah, blah, blah. But I overarchingly trusted the people who were older, wiser, went to school for that, and had been elected to represent whatever. That level of when you talk to, and I mentor children now and young folks, man, it's a free-for-all. It's a free, but they don't trust anything. They don't trust the housing market. They don't trust the economy. They don't trust corporations. Nobody works places forever. Like, the deterioration is a aspect of the macrocosm of what we're allowing for ourselves to be identifiable with as a country. And so it's definitely different. And, to answer your question, I wasn't all as into it because I felt like the grown-ups had it. The grown-ups were smart enough to figure it out, and they had us, and we were going to be set up. Now you telling the kids won't be no Social Security. It won't be no, you're going to have to retire at 74. Like, all this other stuff is just making them scared as hell.
There's no question. Here's the thing, though, bro, and I only can speak for me, right? And I will speak, my boy Doug, we grew up in Detroit. I mean, we were at 13, we were a lot more conscious of what was going on in the world. We would talk about it. We would talk about certain things. And so and the Iran-Contra thing was more about this lieutenant colonel had all this power to get weapons or whatever the case may be and hide it, right? Which we know that wasn't true. Okay. So he fell on his sword to protect the higher levels. That's what that was about. And they were trying to connect the dots to the president, right? Because there's no way this lieutenant colonel had that type of power to be able to make deals with other countries. All right. And without higher people knowing. That's what that. And he fell on his sword. He never told who. He said it was me, and that's why they made a hero out of him, because he was a patriot and this and that. And the Democrats was trying to say, you ain't no, not that he wasn't a patriot, but they're like, you didn't decide. Who did it? Who told you? Who? And he wouldn't tell, right? So they were trying to link the dots to who he was connected with, blah, blah. That's what that was about, right? And so that's what I'm trying to tell you. These things are not like they didn't happen before, okay?
Right. But so now they said it was me. It was me.
Yeah. I told him, so what?
It's a big signature. So what?
What was the flick? What was the flick? A Few Good Men.
Right? He came
right. When Jack Nicholson said, he said, who did you give the call? Red? Said, you goddamn right I did. He thought, so what? I did it. So what? Next thing you know, like, you under arrest. He was like, what? You arrested me for what? Did I do a crime here? Did I do a crime? Right? Because he thought he could do whatever he wanted to do.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, and didn't know that you were breaking a crime, buddy. You can't do. And that's where we are. You see, that's it. Yeah, I did it. So what? Yep.
Impunity. Yep.
Flat out. And so that's scary, because when people think that they can do anything, because they think it's for the greater good, they think it's for the greater good. And that means they can do anything. They can do anything. Absolutely. And so that's where we're heading. And today, the message as we get ready to close is and I'll give you final thoughts. I just want everyone to and again, I should have played the song. I should have got it. But I want everybody to wake up. Okay? And I want everybody to really start paying attention to, number one, know your history. If you're not, don't know it. Nobody gonna do it. But understand what this country was built on. And let's don't get into the black-white stuff, okay? We know black people, I get all that. But just understanding founding principles and why it was set up. And the reason it was set up and what those principles were supposed to guarantee from a government. I just want to say from a government takeover and stuff to that nature, right? Of somebody becoming powerful and being able to do whatever they want to do based on what they want to do, and nobody can stop them. The country wasn't set up that way. Number two, it's important that if you're not registered to vote in your district, number one, they're trying to take voting away in certain districts. They're trying to redistribute maps. They're trying to do that shit. Remember Dr. Will that was on, and he said if voting wasn't powerful, they wouldn't try to stop you from voting.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, buddy, you guys got to wake up, please. And I'm not trying to preach. I'm just trying to be fair. You got to wake up. Because this thing is real, and you're gonna wake up one day, you're gonna be like, how did we get here? And so we have an opportunity to our future generations to make sure that we do everything in our power to not let that happen. And the main thing in our power, there's two things, is to be aware, to be active citizens, and more importantly, vote. And if you do that, then you're doing what you can, you're doing what you could do to affect change. Final thoughts, my brother.
Well, my final thought is you have a right and a responsibility to vote and represent yourself first and foremost, which allows for you to pick people to represent your interest on your behalf. So that's simply how voting works. But the concept of listening to Tony and myself speak about these things is just a small portion of your education program. Like he says, go out and look for yourself. But when you listen to anything, the truth resonates at a different frequency than a lie. It just feels different. You can just tell the smell test, right? And so you're going to engage in something or going to be exposed to something that just doesn't make sense. Now, obviously, we talked about the cascading effect of the Jimmy Kimmel monologue, and that just didn't make sense. And now the more you hear, the more you realize this wasn't never about the monologue.
It was never about that. It was
agenda.
Buddy,
this was an agenda that was going on before he said a word.
Now he can come back. So think about that for a second. Now he can come back. So but finish your thought, bro.
But all we're doing is trying to lift the veil or trying to plant the seed so you can go and water that on your own and help to grow your mind, your perspective, and then pass that along so we don't have to live under a veil of ignorance as a country. Because a lot of this misinformation is because people are too lazy or too tired to really go out past what they're seeing in their, one channel click or one newspaper production or whatever the case may be. So we want to make sure that we keep that ignorance, fight ignorance wherever we can. And so the little that we give you, go and add to it and grow yourself.
Buddy, flat out. That's why I put Monique's stuff or comment. Ignorance is bliss. And people want to be ignorant. And you can't be ignorant. You have to know, because these things are bigger than you. Exactly. They're bigger than you. The stakes are way too high. So we're imploring everyone to really just become aware and stay informed and stay on top of the game, right? And so as we close, I want to remind everyone, we just had one of our very powerful episode that was released today on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. So definitely check out my good friend. Her name is Grace Footen, and she came on and told her powerful story. And the title of the episode is Biracial, Black, and Breaking. And it's about being stuck in between, the mental toll in between worlds. So please check it out. I mean, I have to give her a lot of kudos for coming on, sharing her story, because her story is something not only that she went through, but people currently are going through the exact same thing. And she came on to share because she wanted to educate and help other people and get to a place where she is now, where she's good to where she is. She understands her identity and she's feeling comfortable on both sides of her identity. So please check that out. Again, is Biracial, Black, and Breaking: The Mental Toll of Living in Two Worlds. Check it out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts.
Let me just comment to that before I go on to the other promo. That was powerful to me because it really went beyond just the racial identity crisis that people may have, but to other levels of identity, whether it be socioeconomic or regional identity. Like it really puts you in the psychology of identification. And if you can listen to that and resonate with one of those things, it may help you where you are if you're in a conscious of crisis or something of that nature. But we also want to remind you to tune in each week to Need to Know with Nsinga. Don't miss this week's episode of Need to Know with Dr. Nsinga Burton. A Black Executive Perspective podcast is where Dr. Burton dives into timely and crucial topics that shape our community and our world. You want to tune in and gain that unique commentary that she has. She is hilarious. It's funny. I'm laughing because she's so educated. She's so articulate.
She knows her
She's
stuff.
so eloquent, but she is absolutely hilarious.
I tell her all the time. I said, my girl, you could do stand up. You should do stand up because she is so funny, but on point. On point.
She packages it so well.
Point.
Absolutely.
On point. Okay, I think she's in the Caribbean now, traveling. Okay. She's just got a week off or whatever case. But that's my girl. Definitely check out Need to Know. And then obviously we just released the latest episode of Pull Up, Speak Up, where the roundtable dove into interracial marriage, right? So definitely check that out. You can enjoy it. We've already gotten really a lot of great comments on these episodes that we're releasing where people are sharing their stories or we talk about a certain topic. But check out Pull Up, Speak Up here on the Black Executive Perspective podcast.
And then we always want to close by, encouraging you to incorporate our call to action, and that is less, LESS. Our goal is to eliminate all forms of discrimination, and to achieve this, we're asking everyone to embrace less. The L stands for learn. Educate yourself on racial, cultural, community, global nuances. So therefore, you can have your own mind and make sure that you're doing what's best for you and your family.
Absolutely. And then after you learn, you have the letter E, which stands for empathy. Now, since you've learned about other different groups that you're not familiar with, now you can be more empathetic to what they go through because you can put yourself in their shoes.
And then the first S is for share. Share your insights, enlighten others. Don't hide it, divide it. Like Monique said, I understand the appeal of ignorance being bliss, but you want to be informed so you can protect yourself from things that don't mean you any good.
Absolutely. And the final S stands for stop. You want to stop discrimination as it walks in your path. So it's very simple. If Aunt Jenny or Uncle Joe says something inappropriate at the Sunday dinner table, instead of sitting there in silence or in awe or even giggling, you say, Aunt Jenny, Uncle Joe, we don't believe that. We don't say that. And you stop it right there. So if everyone can incorporate less, LESS, will build a more fair, more understanding world. And this is something we all can do. And guess what? We'll all see the change that we want to see because less will become more.
Make sure you tune into that episode that came out today. Tune into future episodes. Check us out next Tuesday, same bad time, same bad channel, 6 o'clock live Eastern. And we'll be here for that. Go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, leave us a review. Tell us what you'd like to hear about. Make sure that you subscribe wherever you're listening to us. And where can they find us, Tony?
My brother, you can find the Black Executive Perspective podcast here on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on our social channels of LinkedIn, X, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at the Black Exec. For my fabulous co-host with the most, my boy down in Dallas, Chris P. Reed, I'm Tony Tidbit. We talked about it. We learned about it. We laughed about it. We're kind of sad about it, but we're going to keep striving and thriving about it. We love you. And guess what? We're out.
A Black Executive Perspective.